Hey, welcome back, PetaPixel viewers. It is Chris Nichols here, and look, we are at the Google building, made by Google. I wasn't made by Google, I was made by two human beings. My intelligence is organic, it's just not very extensive, but we are here to look at a brand new product. Very exciting. Okay, so we've just come out of the Google keynote presentation, and now we have our hands on a phone here. So again, we're gonna be looking at the Pro series of phones. We have our hands here on a Google Pixel 9 Pro XL. The first thing I want to point out, I think is really interesting, is there's a Pro model and a Pro XL, and all it changes is the screen size and the overall phone size, but camera specs, you know, screen brightness, capabilities, all identical. We haven't really seen that before, and I think that's actually a great option. But one of the things that has changed is the cameras, and that's the first thing I want to talk about. When we did our smartphone roundup, we found the Google Pixel 8 Pro to have the nicest camera setup. And so now here we have some further improvements. We didn't know if we were going to get the same cameras, but we actually have some brand new hardware here. But first, let's talk about the main cam, the wide angle. This is the same. It's got 12 pixel autofocus, f1.68 aperture, but there is now an improved ultra wide lens. So the ultra wide is 48 megapixels still, but it now goes from an f1.95 aperture to f1.7. Now we also have an improvement to the telephoto. So it's still a 5 times 48 megapixel f2.8 aperture lens, but it now has dual pixel autofocus as well, and that should be really nice, just get you those faster shots when you are reaching out. But another huge improvement is actually the selfie camera, the front-facing camera. I know you can't really see it in this B-roll, okay, it's not great, but trust me, it is much better. 42 megapixels now. This has an f2.2 aperture, 103 degree field of view. It's much wider, and it does autofocus as well, so that's a big step up. So as you can see, we got this beautiful bright sunny day out here in Mountain View, and that actually brings me to the screen. So this is quite impressive. This brand new screen, their Actua display on both the Pro and the Pro XL, has a peak brightness of 3000 nits. And even out in this bright sunlight, I can easily see it if I crank up the brightness. Now as well, for HDR photography, this is stuff we're still gonna wanna test, but when it comes to HDR playback of videos and photography, you still get 2000 nits of peak brightness. I mean, that's excellent for that dynamic range. Now, whether you like it or not, AI is a huge term now when it comes to photography, and the Pixel 9 Pro series have some very interesting AI features. Now, at the time of making this particular video, we can't actually test a lot of these features on our phone, not until the embargo date, but again, a full review is coming. But we were able to at least test some of the new features and demos. So the first one I want to talk about is the Add Me features. And so what this Add Me feature basically does is make it so you never have to ask a perfect stranger on the street to take your photo of you and your friend ever again. What you can do is just take turns. So here's a photo of just me by myself, and then you can swap phones. Jaren goes in, and it actually shows you an overlay of where I was in the shot, so you can frame and compose it. Very cool. Take a second picture, combine it together, and look at that. Best friends forever. So another thing that we can't test yet, but that looked really interesting, was just the overall reimagined generative fill kind of stuff. So before it was things like erase somebody out of the back of the frame, something like that, you know, but now we could do things like recompose the image, reframe the image, have it generatively fill the background, change the entire composition. We can have it do things like put in AI prompts to add flowers, for example, to the grass, or change the look of the sky. This is stuff that we really want to test. It is very interesting, and this is the whole point, is seeing this AI technology get better and better. Okay, so here's another interesting photographic feature that we want to test out. So there's a new panoramic mode, and you know, I like this. It's not like the swipe panorama where the camera's constantly shooting and you just rotate your phone. It actually gives you prompts to show you to recenter an image, recenter the image, recenter the image, combine that all together to give you a quite detailed 50 megapixel image, but also now it works with night sight as well, and so you do get this really nice boost into shadows and detail. That opens up a lot of nighttime panoramic possibilities. I think that's really cool. I definitely want to try that out.
All right, Chris got to choose the background, so this is what I'm doing, I guess. So it's time to talk about video. And honestly, if you're looking at the time of capture, we're not seeing any real advancements on this, aside from the ability, when you're using that 5 times lens, to zoom in now 20 times with it. Oh, this is speeding up. But what's really interesting is, after you capture video, you can upload it to Google's cloud, and then it can do some really interesting stuff. Like last year we saw where it was giving you night sight, improving the low light performance. That's still here, but now, oh dear God, son of a. Okay, so what'll happen now is once we upload, it'll take our 4K footage and actually make it 8K. So it's upsampling. Should give us a little bit more detail in that. That's everything I got. Back to you, Chris.
So that keynote presentation actually was very interesting. And again, there's not a lot we can test today, but there's so much that we're interested to test out and evaluate for the full review, which is coming shortly. But I guess my main takeaway is really this. It left me with a feeling that even though we've got new hardware and we've got some new upgraded cameras, brighter apertures, stuff like that, they really didn't emphasize that at all in the presentation. And so I guess that's really telling for where they're trying to push now. It's AI. Not only the Gemini features, which go beyond photography, but also the actual generative fill capabilities. And also things like the generative AI prompts that you can apply to your photography and that change it dramatically. I mean, this is the world that we live in now where photography and AI are melding into some sort of brand new art form. And that's definitely something I want to explore. So that's something we're going to definitely check out. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the things that we found most interesting about the brand new Google Pixel 9 Pro series. And definitely leave your comments below. Also your questions that you might have about the phone that we can test for photographic purposes, because I'll absolutely keep that in mind when evaluating the smartphone further. As always though, do check out our PetaPixel podcast. It's on the exact same channel or all your favorite podcasting apps. Thanks so much for joining us. We always appreciate it, and we'll see you soon with more on PetaPixel.